Well, hello and welcome to my home office. This is my 10 foot by 10 foot by 10 foot area that is all mine and it's filled with all my gadgets and goodies. So let's get straight into what you want to see, which is the desk setup tour. So let's get to it. So first up, we have to talk about the desk. This is the IKEA Troughton manual sit-stand desk. I've got it in beige and white, and I've really loved this desk so far. It's clean, it's minimal, and it fits with the aesthetic that I'm trying to go for in this office. And the thing that I really like about it is that it's a sit-stand desk. So with just the crank of this little handle right here, I can go from sitting to standing in just 87 cranks. Yes, that's right. 87 cranks. So I am obsessed with cable management. I don't want to see cables on top of my desk, and I don't want to see them dangling from the bottom of my desk. So there's a couple different things that I've purchased to help with that. So first, I've got these mounting pads and zip ties. And these are really helpful to stick them to the bottom of the desk, zip tie cables, and it helps keep them stuck to the bottom, and I'm not going to see them dangling and hanging. I also bought something from IKEA called the Signum. It is a cable rack organizer. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but I will show it on screen here. It's not specifically made for this IKEA desk, but with just a screwdriver and the screws, you can definitely get it into most of the IKEA desks without too much hassle. So what I've done here is mounted this Signum cable rack to the bottom of the desk, as well as used a handful of these cable zip ties and mounting pads, and it has left me with a very, very clean setup with almost no cables showing on my desk. I've also got two Alex drawers from IKEA on the left and right side of my desk. The table is not sitting on those, they're purely just on the side there, and it functions as my storage for my pens, pencils, hard drives, SSDs, and a handful of cables and other knickknacks. So that's the desk, that's the cable management. Now let's get into what you actually came for here, which is the gear. All right, the first thing that is powering this entire desk is my Henge Stone Dock. Now this is a discontinued dock. They don't sell it anymore. Henge was acquired by Bridge, but you can basically buy the exact same thing from a handful of other providers. Now what this does is this allows me to plug in a single USB-C cable into my MacBook, and that powers everything. My monitor, my headphones, my keyboard, my audio interface. Everything gets connected to my Mac with one single cable, and it is really dead simple, and I could not live without it. Now this Henge dock has a handful of ports. It's got 3 USB-A's, 1 USB-C, an Ethernet port, display port, audio out, and it even has an SD card slot input. Now I could not imagine my life without this Henge dock. It has made things so simple. All I do is set down my MacBook, plug in one cable, which is providing power to my MacBook, and my entire setup turns on. It is so dead simple. Now next up is my Dell monitor. It is a 25-inch 2.5K monitor, and it works exceptionally well with macOS. macOS just tends to scale really well when you're on a 2.5K monitor or a 5K monitor. I've had this monitor for a handful of years and it has performed exceptionally well. The color accuracy is great. I've got no dead pixels or anything like that. And I really just love the quality of this monitor for just around $300 or $400. Again, this one is discontinued, but you can get very similar ultra sharp monitors from Dell today for around the same price. Now let's talk about keyboards. This is the latest addition to my desk, and it is the Keychron V1 with brown switches. This recently replaced a Ducky keyboard, and I am loving the upgrade. Now I must admit, I am not heavily involved in the mechanical keyboard community, and I am not an expert, but I do know that this supplies all of my RGB needs, and that I love the tactile feel, and that I actually type significantly faster using a mechanical keyboard than I do using a flat keyboard like something from Logitech or from Apple. Now I personally love the feel of the brown switches on this Keychron keyboard, but they also sell it with red switches and blue switches. It's also hot swappable, which makes it one of the cheapest options on the market to start customizing. I got some extra keycaps from Amazon that have Mac key symbols that I've really enjoyed. Now, if you've gotten this far, I know that you want to hear a sample. Next up, let's talk about audio interfaces. This is my Focusrite 6i6. It has all of the audio inputs and outputs that I am ever going to need. Most of the time, I'm only running 1 or 2 inputs, and I've got something like my pod mic here plugged into the input, and I can use that for Zoom meetings and YouTube videos. If I'm doing something more complex for some video work or some music recording, I might have to use more of those inputs. But the Focusrite is great. It's really clean and has plenty of gain for all of my needs. Next, let's talk about my computer mouse. This is the Logitech M705, and I've got to admit, I have had this for almost a decade. I bought this when I was a very poor college student, and I saw that it was $35 and had 3-year battery life, and it is hard to beat that when you have no money. I would one day love to upgrade this to a Logitech MX Master 3, but we'll get there when we get there. For being a $35 mouse, this actually has a lot of really cool features. It's got the forward and backwards buttons, which makes navigating through file menus or browsers really simple, and you can change the way that the scroll wheel works, which is nice when looking at long documents. Since we're talking about audio, let's talk about the speakers I have. These are the Bose Companion speakers. Again, I've had these for almost 5+ years, and they work great. They are simple, they have enough bass for me, and they work great for music listening and editing basic videos. I've swapped them out with some higher end speakers in the past, but I always gravitate towards these just for the simplicity of them. If I need to do something that needs really precise tuning or I need to really pay attention, I will use my in-ear monitors or over-ear headphones rather than these Bose speakers. Last, I have the Qantas monitor lamp, and that is on top of my monitor, and it just casts a really nice subtle light on my desk when I'm working early in the mornings or late at night. I really like this light because of the fact that it's got multiple different color temperatures and brightnesses, which means I can match it to my environment. So that is my 2024 desk setup tour. I've got some really new tech, and I've also got some pretty old and dated tech, but that's all right because I still feel confident in my ability to create great work at this desk. So if you saw something you're interested in picking up, or if you've got questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.